Welcome to Selling Dallas Fort Worth. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing the ins and outs of property management, how to self-manage, and actually how property managers cost you nothing. My name is Tyler Christ, the broker and owner of TK Realty, and I'm honored to have my mentor, my previous broker, Jonathan Westrom. He is the broker and owner of Westrom Group Property Management, and we're excited to get into this with you.
Thanks, Tyler. Glad to be here, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good one. So, what the heck is property management?
Well, I like to think that property management is an industry that was created for people who didn't know how to sell houses. So like it's the failed realtor, right? So no, I mean, really this industry is a lot of things. And so it really didn't exist. What we do, single family property management, didn't really exist 20 years ago. There wasn't a real professional aspect to it. There's commercial property management. There's, multifamily property management for apartment complexes, but specifically, what we do is single family residential property management. And that's, the space that we kind of hang out in.
That's awesome. So when it comes to single family property management, one, how did you even get into it in the first place? Did you start as a self-manager? Did you get into property management just out of necessity? So how did it start?
Well, unfortunately, I kind of joke as well because everything I do is a joke. But I say it was child abuse. My dad was had a couple of rental houses, and at 10 years old, I mean, I was taking rental phone calls with like little 3x5 cards. He would make me say what the house was, and these houses were $600 a month.
You were cold calling at 10?
Yeah, exactly. And so, but I was fixing toilets, painting baseboards, that type of stuff. And so I went to college and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do. I didn't want to go into the corporate world. And so I was helping my dad, who got older, manage some of his rental properties while I was in college, got my degree, and thought, I'll get a real estate license. I loved everything real estate, thought I was going to sell a bunch of houses. And I just started taking care of some rental properties for my family. I got my own rental property, my first one, disaster. And then I started having everybody else ask me like, hey, can you help me? Can you do this? And I was like, yeah, I guess. And I feel bad for those people now, but yes, that's how I got into it.
You've learned a lot, and you've been able to, in my mind, perfect what it is to be a property manager and to provide a true value for your clients that they can turn over a property and never think about it again. So when we look at property management, what it means, if you had to first tell people who are looking to self-manage, what advice would you give to self-managers on how to do it?
I think self-managing, I don't want to be a hypocrite because I have a professional property management company. But like you said, I was a self-manager. Yeah. I got into property management because 20 years ago, there really wasn't anybody doing this. Right. And I got into it out of necessity. And I was self-managing. And I still cared about $50, and I still care about $50 a day. And what I was trying to figure out is take a common sense approach to this and be able to add value to tenants and follow best practices, but not be so dot the I, cross the T, everything. So absolutely, people can self-manage. I have given a client back his 5 properties and said, you can do this yourself, and gave him all the forms and he calls me all the time. I think self-management's okay for some people.
Yeah. And that's kind of like real estate. In our episode last week, like, can you buy and sell houses on your own? Absolutely. Can we self-manage on our own? Yes. But is it the best practice, the best value for how we're going to be spending our time, and best for the tenants? I personally don't think it is. And so at Westrom Group, tell me, one, do you have to be a licensed realtor to be a property manager?
Well, that's kind of a yes and no. Okay. So for like someone who owns a house or owns 50 houses and has an employee that works for them, they do not have to be licensed. You work for the owner of the property directly.
Like an apartment complex.
Apartment complexes, they do not have to be licensed. Best practices is to be licensed. For my company, we have to be licensed. We have to be regulated by the state. We all have the same forms, same management agreements, same leases. And so, yes, if I'm going to take on your house, I have to be licensed, and people in our office have to be licensed.
Awesome. And when we talk about getting licensed, and you're talking about your forms and your handbook that you've been able to craft through just working really hard and getting to where you are, tell me about what are the best practices that you've found that helps not only you guys manage and make it a seamless process, but how's it help your tenants and owners?
So I think that for us, and what I like to tell our owners is the number one thing that we have to focus on is finding great tenants. It all starts there. If I find a great tenant, if you find a great tenant and you're self managing, life's going to be a lot easier. Now, that's not the be all end all of everything, but you got to have great tenants. So you have to be able to screen and find the best tenants.
And how are, like, what are the latest scams? Like, when you guys are finding the best tenants, what are you guys having to weed out and comb through?
Oh, this is tough. It's the scams. The biggest challenge I actually have and going on is fake applications. The biggest scams I have going on is fake applications because there are professional scammers out there that have amazing fake IDs. They have fake pay stubs, fake bank statements, fake jobs. Everything is fake. They have fake credit, social security numbers, identities. It's amazing. And if you make a mistake there, it's catastrophic because they prey on self-managed owners because they know they don't do this for a living. The way we screen tenants is, I think, almost borderline illegal, but we use all publicly available data to check out things. And I think one thing I'd like to share is that I can give you everything that I have, all my forms, everything I have, and we'll talk about that. But one of my secret sauces to screening tenants is a premium subscription to the white pages. It tells you everything. I can put your phone number in, Tyler. I can figure out who your mom is, your dad is, who you're married to.
Well, that's not fair. You already know everybody.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's actually a bad thing. I don't need to know all that about you, but no, I can see. So I find fake landlords. I find out their uncle's phone number is the number they put on their application. It's genius. I love premium white subscription. It's like $20 a month. Please,
that's amazing, and that has to avoid a lot of potential evictions and heavy turnovers.
So yes, we've done, in the last 4 years, we've done about 1,000 leases. We've had one eviction that we've had of someone we've qualified. You know, that's not a bad number, but I'm just trying to be honest with you. They do happen. That person stayed for 3 years and we did not get financially hurt because his deposit was $3,000. Yeah. However, they do happen and those things are just so costly.
I mean, that's a pretty impressive percentage of leases to evictions through y'all screening processes. Can you elaborate a little bit more on how you guys onboard a property, or one, what you look for in an owner? Because what you're looking for in an owner doesn't always translate, right? There's a lot of investors. There's a lot of people who want to own properties, but in my experience, there's not a lot of owners who are fully ready to be rental owners.
Yes. People have this fantasy about what property management is and owning investment properties. And they've read a book or they've gone to a conference or something like that. And they have this theory of what it's going to be like. And then I have to kind of pop the bubble and say, here's the reality of what's going to happen. Okay. Because theory versus reality, and if they can deal with what the reality is, then we're going to be okay. For us, an ideal client is someone that we just philosophically align with.
Yeah.
All right. So one is, when you're going to hire a property manager, if you just choose it, you're not going to do it yourself, is one, do you like them? Like, would you have a dinner with that person? Yeah. Do you get to actually talk to who you're going to work with? Do you like that person? And can you trust them? Those are the two most important things. And then thirdly, you get into what does it cost?
Yeah.
And so I think that those are the three things that people need to look at when trying to find a property manager.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up that last one, especially on what it costs. Because it's when people are interviewing property managers, or when I'm helping them do net sheets, or they're looking at, hey, Tyler, you're going to help me purchase this. We're going to need it professionally managed. Everybody gets really hung up on a fee. Oh, is it 5? Is it 8? Is it 10? Is it 12? And really, from my experience, at the end of the day, it breaks out to nothing when you actually compare the horror stories or how it can be done self-manage wise or even with other property managers compared to what it actually takes to own a property for 12 to 24 months. So how do you save people money and it actually costs nothing?
No, it's a great point. I tell people property management is actually costing you nothing. Okay. But you got to look at it. You can't look at it from a 1 month perspective. You got to look at it from a 3 year perspective, right? So it's almost like insurance in some ways, because things are going to happen. And if you are self-managing and you have the time and availability and skills to deal with and think best practices in the spur of the moment in critical situations, when a hot water heater is busted and flooding, then you can self-manage. But most people don't. And so what I like to think about property management and our cost is we find better tenants, we lease the property faster, we handle maintenance more effective, our tenants stay longer, we get current rents, we're always evaluating, we handle all the issues with HOAs and those types of things. And those things, when you look at that, are critical when you look at a 3-year, 5-year hold of a property, because turnover cost, eviction cost, maintenance cost, those things eat up all your profits.
Oh,
so
yeah.
yes, it may cost you $3,000 a year to maybe manage your property professionally, but I'm going to show you how it actually costs you nothing.
Yeah. And that 3,000 may sound like, oh my goodness, that's a lot, but you and I've both done this a lot. I've done make readies for Western Group. I've really got to cut my teeth. I mean, you sent me into a lot of things. I learned a lot.
Yeah, let's talk about those.
Yeah, we're not going to, I was able to learn a lot, but like one of the biggest and best things that I saw you guys do and that I've seen other really other property managers fail at doing, and that's when it comes to vacancy rate, not only tenant turns, but being able to move somebody out, move somebody in, and y'all are doing it in 3 to 5 days, where it takes others three weeks, sometimes 6 weeks, just to get contractors in and out.
Yeah. And it's funny you bring that up because I didn't even bring that up as far as our cost and what it is. But self-management owners, they justify like, oh, they need time or have these beliefs that it could be a few weeks or whatever. Days or dollars for me. And I wasn't brought up in the corporate world of property management. And so I was just brought up old school by dad. He was like, hey, every dollar, every day is $50, $75. And so we turn a property, they move out. We're there the same day or next day. We're like, we already have the photos. We can put it as coming soon. We're already marketing it. We got people in there 2 days later doing some cleaning, carpet cleaning, whatever it is. We show it sometimes when it's not 100% ready because we need to get that property rented. If you sit vacant for 2 weeks at a $75, that's $750 or $1,000 that an owner doesn't think about savings.
Yeah, and they don't, and that's where, like, this is just round math. It's if you guys have the relationships with the preferred vendors, your maintenance companies, to where if you're looking at like an average turn for you guys may cost $2,000, well, that's because of y'all's relationships. You guys are saving 30 to 40% on turnover costs just based on your relationships, doing it a lot. Right there's $1,000. If you can do it in 5 days and you guys are avoiding an entire month of holding cost, there's your $3,000 right there.
Absolutely. Our carpet, nobody can touch our carpet pricing. The same carpet I would use and I have used in my personal house. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, it's great carpet and
it's luxury vinyl plank, same thing. It's like $2 a square foot installed.
Yeah, and it's
amazing.
Yeah, from flooring to paint to the people who are doing every single aspect of a turn, not only doing it quick, but doing it at a good value that is then dropped down and shared with your owners, which is not talked about enough. So if this was not really one of your cost saving metrics that you were going to talk about, what are your top 3 cost saving metrics and how it doesn't cost them anything to actually use you guys at the end of that year?
I would say that our top 3 things that we save owners on is one, eliminate renting the property faster. Okay. So that's what you said as far as getting it ready faster, finding a tenant, and our marketing, how quick we process the application. So finding a tenant faster. how much we actually charge for the maintenance. We actually charge nothing. So we have no markup, no kickbacks. Our vendors are 100% transparent. So they save money there. And then the third way is keeping the tenant and longer, being an awesome property management company, having great reviews and taking care of the client so they stay longer. Our average lease is 34 months long, almost 3 years. Turnover is your most expensive thing. And so vacancy is your second most, expensive thing. And we hammer that.
34 months?
34 months is our average.
What is
lease.
Industry standard for?
It's about 18 months.
So you guys have
twice.
Almost doubled it.
Yeah. And so, and I didn't even know that, but we started tracking all those metrics because it's important. And I wanted to make sure owners were best practices and doing those things for them.
And that's an impressive number. So how do you get double the industry standard on your leases?
So I like to think this. I'm not in the property management business. I'm not in the real estate business. I'm in the people business. So I can give you all of my forms. I can give you all the training that we do, lay it all out there, take all the conferences, go get your real estate license, and you can't duplicate it because you may not have the people skills. So I'm trying to be very transparent, maybe in that real estate or property management, property management would be super, super easy if people weren't involved.
Oh, yeah.
Because you got to take care of people. You have to take care of your owners. You have to take care of your tenants, and you have to take care of your vendors. And when you do that and you show that you care, people want to do business with people. People want to stay in your houses.
It's in real estate in general, outside of property management, is simply a people business.
Yes.
It's all fully relationship based. This is a property management video, but you can go put a system in place and just cold call or door knock, do those things. But at the end of the day, your conversion is people, and it's people in property management as well. And that's, I love the buying and selling. And that's where you and I make a pretty good combo in the sense of, I'm not a property manager.
No, you cannot do this.
I love relationships, but I am not a property manager, and I fail when it comes to the tenant relationships. I love vendors, I love owners, but I fail at getting to be able to be that sensitive, crucial moments of what happens throughout a tenant through those 34 months. I'm not great at it. Yep. I'd borderline say I'm not good at that aspect of it all. And that's where you need somebody to be able to step up like you guys are able to offer at Western Group.
Sure. And that's where I think self-management is the biggest challenge, is that they do not think they have to respond or take care of the tenants, or they just got to follow the lease. I mean, the lease is there just to keep you legal and that type of thing. There's some guidelines. But last night, I didn't have a guy with no hot water. Plumber couldn't fix it. I actually got the owner, who's an engineer, to go over and get the water heater lit. And they have hot water. These people are going to go crazy. They have kids. They have no hot water. It's those moments that make the difference. The tenants know we care.
Yeah, and it's as simple as knowing a pilot light is out, and being able to navigate how you're going to talk to your owner to get them there, have a relationship with your owner for them to actually be like, hey, John, aren't I paying you to do this? And yet you're able to work with them through that, take them the process, and they're over there lighting a pilot light.
Yes. It's the difference. It's the small little things. And that's the people business. That's caring. That's me at 8:30 at night in, texting and doing some things as the owner of our property management company, still involved, taking care of one of 400 tenants that we have. And so that's one thing, is I want to make sure owners, if you're going to self-manage, that you're available to your tenants. And just another thing for self-management owners, and I think this is just, I really want to provide you value. I'll give you everything I have. You can call me. I was texting with an owner today who's asking me if he should approve this application or not. And I just want to, provide him. But all the forms that we use are online, and they are intended for the Texas real estate, realtors. But because they're public, it says on the website, you can use the forms. They are amazing. Go to trek.com, click on forms. You can get leasing forms. You can get the applications. You can use leases. And so the Texas Association of Realtors, their forms are public. You can use those. they're out there. And I just encourage you to do that, because as soon as an owner that self-manages tries to engage us, I look at their lease. They've used Zillow
Yeah, they've used an out of
screening.
state form that not only doesn't protect the tenant or their really legal rights, it doesn't protect the owners at all. Tell me about an owner that recently moved his property to you, and how, if he would have only paid you $3,000 a year, and what it would have saved him.
No, no, absolutely. So I had an owner that reached out to me, and gone through all the onboarding process. We gave him all the forms and everything like that, and he was going to sign up, and then he decided to do it himself. Okay, no big deal. I'm happy for him. You know, some people he may or may not have been successful. He was out of state. He leased his property. Super excited. The tenant paid like 6 months in advance, and then it never paid again. And it was like, so here it was, month 7th. He was trying to figure it out. Month 8th, he finally called me. It took 2 more months for me. He hired me finally to get the tenant out. It took 2 months to get the tenant out. It took another month to fix the property. This tenant was a professional squatter. The rehab cost him $10,000.
So
My fees, it cost him $20,000 to $22,000 in lost rent and turnover cost, because he got the wrong tenant, had the wrong forms. He had some California form that had just
Nothing
I had to
do.
comply with.
And that's wild, because you've got not only 5 months of lost rent, you've got basically half a year that property is zero income producing. And to really dig out, unless you own a property cash, to dig out of a $22,000 hole on an investment property, it's going to take 5 years.
It's a brand new house. And the person was there a year, had to replace all the carpets and had to paint the whole thing. And I felt bad, but I just can't help people from not being a victim of thinking they can do this when they're out of state, have no contractors. They thought theory would work. They thought Zillow or something, some random website would protect them, and it wouldn't.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, good property management is not only good for the tenants, it's good for the owner. And this is some of your biggest asset that you own, right? We're talking $300,000 to $500,000 houses on average. Mm-hmm. And I found the average investor owner, they're not these wealthy Wall Street bankers. These are real people. These are your neighbors that are simply moving their funds from a 401k over to what they deem as a better investment, which I would argue is a better investment than stocks would be, to own rental properties, a long-term rental. These are just normal individuals.
Yeah, I call them the accidental investors sometimes too. People just decide not to sell their house, or they just want to turn their house into a rental and buy another house. And those people are just kind of getting their feet wet. But the thing is like, they're going to self-manage, which is fine. I mean, if they, one of the things that they make a big mistake on is just hiring a random realtor to just find them a tenant. And it's a critical mistake, because realtors are licensed, but they're not set up, and they're not doing, screening and background and using all the things and systems. And we've just made a lot of mistakes the first few years.
Oh, I couldn't imagine. I've closed almost 300 houses since 2018. I've signed 0 tenants. Yeah. I would be completely lost in that aspect. So I think it's funny you bring it up, because I'm very experienced. I've done all the transactions. Each transaction is completely different. You learn something new all the time, but I've done 0 leases.
Yeah. And someone would think maybe, hey, Tyler's done rental properties investment. He could help us out. Absolutely. What would you say?
I'd be like, absolutely not.
Run.
My entire brokerage model is 0 property management.
Yeah, and that's
because
okay.
it's so far out of my wheelhouse. Even though you're my mentor, we got to work together for the last 4 years, and it's still so far out of my wheelhouse. It's exciting that this is your passion. You love it. It's what you're good at, because it's polar opposite to what I love about real estate.
Hey, and that's what I love about real estate. There's lots of different things, and I wish I had a different spiritual gift, than property management. My brother's a lawyer, my sister's a doctor, and I'm the black sheep as a property manager. But like, hey, I'm staying in my lane, do what I can do.
But you're passionate about it, and you love helping people.
I do, and so I could take the same principles and apply it somewhere else. And it would probably be very effective if I was selling couches or whatever, because you just got to be in the people business. Yeah. Whether you self-manage or you have a property management company do it, you have to make sure they care about people.
Right. And so let people know where they can find Western Group, how they can contact you, and That's really it. I appreciate you being here, but yeah, let people know where they can find Western Group.
So, I mean, fortunately, we've been around for a long time, since 2020. So we're top on the Google searches, we're top on your Yelp reviews and that type of stuff. And so you can Google Western Group and find us. You can, we're in the, we specialize in the Fort Worth area, the greater Fort Worth area. But westerngroup.com is my last name, group.com is our property management site. We also have rentdfw.net is a site where we do lots of have all our properties. My cell phone is on my website, right in the front. Every tenant, every owner can have it. I'm available. I care. I want you to be successful, and if I help you, then I feel like without any strings attached, I'm doing my job, and I just feel blessed.
Yeah, that's great. And thank you again. And we look forward to helping you out. And again, if you like more of these videos, please like and follow Selling Dallas Fort Worth. I look forward to hearing from you.